Hi everyone, Mary at Espresso Press Design. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to do something a little different. Today is a talkie. I don't do things like this very often. Product reviews, haul videos, things like that. But as I'm hoping to move to a larger space, I thought maybe you might find this helpful. And this video is about craft items I regret buying or wish I hadn't bought. Wish I hadn't bought or wish I had bought something different. Put it that way. So I'll get into that in a minute. I mean, this is in no way a disparaging video about anyone else's choices. It's just things that I found that probably would have worked better for me, and I wish I would have chose them instead. And maybe you would feel the same way. So first let me do my thank yous to Ruth, Kelbell, Karen, Mary, Susan, Petra, Mary, that's 2 Marys this week, Linda, Jillian, and Claudia. Thank you, Mary and Linda, for your kind reviews, and thank you, Ruth, Kelbell, and Karen, for your kind comments. And Ruth, my finger is a lot better, but I thank you for your advice. Serendipitously, I hurt my leg and back the day after Christmas, so it was so bad that I literally haven't been down here. Christmas Day was the only day I was down here, and I've been taking Epsom salt baths, and after my first one, my finger felt completely better, so at least something healed. But anyway, I better get started. So, new paper collection, distress labels, and that's on Etsy. And I meant to print this one a lot smaller because I would like these to be tiny, but they are going to be a lot of fun to use for me because I love labels. Everybody loves labels. The one thing I did, I got a new bookbinding kit. So Christmas Day I was down here practicing, and I made a little wrapping paper book. So I might do that next video. Not sure, but it was something I wanted for a long time, and I finally got it. So this is craft items I wish I hadn't bought, or I wish I had bought something different instead. So number one is probably this glass mat. I didn't add it to the list, but I got a new mat for Christmas. I like the grid lines, they're very helpful. I like the glass is easy to clean, but it gets so much stuff underneath it. Even though I tried to put a mat underneath it, I'm constantly cleaning paper bits and losing little pieces of paper underneath it. And part of the reason this is here is because these lines and the reflection create a moire on the video, and then my video camera doesn't like it, and it kind of keeps trying to refocus all the time. So I got a new mat, Now I have 2 glass mats. One I had for a long time just for our business. Sometimes we have to cut paper for presentations and things like that. But now I have 2 and I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. So that's number 1 probably that I just added to the list. The second one is probably a paper trimmer. Now I did replace this with 2 self-sharpening guillotines, which I'm very, very happy with. And the reason is because I was constantly having to buy new blades. And for the cost of those new blades, that's an embossing folder, that's some glue, that's another craft item that I might like to try. And now I still haven't replaced this blade. I'll replace them at some point when I feel like I might actually need it again. But when it comes to cutting paper, a self-sharpening guillotine I'm much happier with. And I haven't had any problems doing everything that with the guillotines that I can do on this. Maybe making the triangles to do paper beads, but I can still do them on the large guillotine. So I would have to say that's my probably number 1 regret, just because of the money I spent replacing these blades. And I used to write the date on the blade when I bought new ones, just so I could keep track of how much it was costing me. And when I realized that, I was like, okay, this has to go. Number 2. Oh no, I forgot to take it out. Number 2, my envelope punch board. Don't worry, it's right here. My envelope punch board. It takes up a lot of space. It doesn't cut the notch out of the envelopes very well. It's extremely hard to get the exact size envelope I need. There isn't that much I can do with it aside from envelopes and boxes that makes it worthwhile. I don't do cards as often as I used to, so I don't need envelopes. I don't need boxes that often, and so for making paper bows or spools, things like that, I just don't see the point. What I wish I had bought was the little envelope paper punch, and these are anywhere from like $10 to $30. And you can do the notches and around the corners of the envelope with the same little punch. And then it's just a matter of knowing how to measure to get the proper size square to make your envelope. So I wish I hadn't bought an envelope punch board. That's number 2. Now some of these are going to surprise people, and I don't mean to be offensive. I guess I'll go to this one because It's not that I'm going to not use it or not keep it or anything like that. But the other one was a stamping platform. And as far as stamping goes, stamping was kind of like way back when I started watercolor painting. I was terrible at stamping, but the ink you use makes a world of difference. So I probably wouldn't have been as terrible at stamping if I had the proper inks, better inks like Memento and Stampin' Up. But when I bought this, I was using inks that weren't appropriate for card making. So again, I don't make cards that often as I used to. I only have a few stamps that would require, you know, having to stamp a second time to get a better impression. And if I wish I wouldn't have spent the money on other things, and then I would have saved up for a Misty, the hinge stamping platform. Not that I probably won't exchange it or do anything different at this point, but if I had it to do over again, that's what I would do. So that might help you. Save up for a better stamping platform, but if you're not happy with your stamping, try to just buy one or two appropriate inks for card making, and your stamping will likely be a lot better. Okay, this one is probably going to be offensive to some people, but the jelly plate, I bought it because I really wanted to make my own background papers, and for two reasons. One, just to have for myself, and two, to use them as a starting point for designing papers. And after I got started and after I watched a lot of videos, I realized there's really not a lot you can do with this as much as you think there is. And the one thing that I have seen that is quite unique and would be very difficult to replicate is transferring magazine images. And I've seen a lot of people make beautiful mixed media pieces with magazine images using their jelly plate, but for the most part, just getting a print of like bubble wrap and things like that. I feel I would have been happier with paste paper, or for just simple mark making and things like that. I have stacks upon stacks of these type of things that I made with styrofoam, stencils, markers, and things like that. Now that being said, I don't have a lot of time to experiment with it. I don't really like the smell of acrylic paint. I much prefer watercolors. But again, this isn't talking negative about the products themselves. It's just that probably some things would have been a better fit for me and my crafting needs and style and things like that. So there's the jelly plate. And I don't think I wanted to say anything more about that. It's not that I'm not going to keep having fun with it and keep experimenting, but I think other forms of mixed media would probably suit me better than the amount of money this cost, which I actually can't remember how much it cost, but it wasn't cheap, okay? Okay, now that brings me to the next one. Stamping foam. Now I bought these for the same reason, because I thought, wow, I'm going to use these for a lot of mark making and they will be good to get rid of the white space on the back of digitals or whatever. Well, you know, I kind of discovered white doesn't actually bother me that much. I consider white kind of to be an opportunity. And there are things this is good for, but I kind of wish I wouldn't have bought them. Right now I have leaf prints in there, okay, from last year, or yeah, I think last year. And I like it for that. It's not that it's not fun or anything, it's just, I was just kind of disappointed because of the size, and I didn't get as much use out of them as I thought I would. So, that being said, if I made more cards, and I wanted to mass make cards, and there wasn't a way to replicate my design very well, these would be perfect, because you can make your design on one and you can stamp out your image on this size, and it makes for a nice card size. So maybe if I did my own little designs on these and I had, like, you know, Christmas cards or something to send out and I wanted to make a lot in a hurry, or make note card sets or something, they would be great. But and I will say that I don't think they were that expensive, so I wouldn't consider this a waste. I would just say that all in all, I haven't got the use out of it that I hoped I would. But again, not that I couldn't, it just takes a little thinking of how can I make better use of this product. So, let's move on to the just personal things. Oh, I guess I'll just leave these here for you to talk about, or, you know, so you have something to look at. Personally, what has made me very happy in the last year is that I finally quit trying to create with other styles, and I finally started coming more into my own and feeling like I'm happier with the things I create because it's more my style. And part of that is ribbons and lace. Now, one look around my house probably should have told me I'm not a lace person. I have one doily in my entire house. I have maybe 2 items in my closet that have lace on them. Ribbons, especially silk ribbons, and this is just part of what I have. Silk ribbons drive me crazy, and I've only found a few things that I can do with them that I am happy with, that I certainly do not need all this ribbon and lace. Now I made these clusters and I used a ribbon. I don't have the other one down here. I used a ribbon to thread this button, and I probably tied it at least twice, maybe 3 times, knotted it, and silk ribbon still comes loose. And that is one thing that drives me crazy about silk ribbon. Not that I might not find a future for the use for these in the future, but ribbon and lace, and the amount of ribbon and lace that I have is ridiculous for the amount that I use it. Now, this type of ribbon, which is more like cotton, I'm fine with that. And I have some that's linen, and I have some that's velvet. I'm fine with some ribbon, but this general use silk ribbon, some way I have to find a way to use it up and get it out of here. Okay, so that's just a personal preference. I know a lot of people like bows and things like that, but just for me, I've just generally found I'm not a ribbon and lace person, and practically the only use I've found for them is to add them to things like my boho tassels. Sorry, I'm getting up here. And things like that. So that's probably, they'll be going for things like that. So, next, bulb pens. If you watched the last few videos, you know that bulb pens drive me crazy. What I wish I had bought, or what I usually switch them out for, is eyelets. Or if I want a junky look, I'll use a safety pin. But once you get them on there, I don't like the way they hang. I don't like the way they twist around. It's not that you couldn't use them in places where that would happen, but I'll probably never buy bulb pens again. And I'll probably invest more in different size jump rings. If I said eyelets, I meant to say jump rings. And I wish I would have spent more money on eyelets and brads, ring brads, things like that. Other craft metalware is what I'm going to say, rather than bulb pens. And the last one is just personal things. Paper dolls, Tim Holtz paper dolls. I forget the name of it. What's the one at Joann's? Die cut ephemera. Things like that. Park Place. I forget the name at Joann's, but I have packs and packs of die cut ephemera that I have a very hard time using. And I just bought it because everyone else had it. So I wish I wouldn't have bought it, because it's still sitting there, and some of it I've given away, like the Tim Holtz paper dolls. I don't even have one to show because I've given them all away. And things like the die-cut ephemera. I wish I would have spent that money on washi tape and maybe flowers. What's the name of the paper studio? Paper studio flowers and things like that. Things that I would actually use. Although I will say there is one pack of die-cut ephemera that is actually my style. And I just happened to pick that up at Goodwill. But this I could surely make myself with the right die cuts. So I love this. There are some stickers and things, or yeah, die cut stickers and things like that I've gotten at Dollar Tree that I'm as happy with as the ones I paid more money for. So just little things like that that are just kind of like impulse buys that are pretty expensive, especially when it comes to like Tim Holtz. I just wish I wouldn't have got them. So okay, everyone, I'm pretty sure this is wrapping up the list of things that I wish I hadn't bought, or I wish I would have exchanged for something more suitable to me. And that's mostly what I want to say, is when you're starting out, you just want to try everything. And it's like when you see the way certain people create, that stays in your mind. So it's really hard to break out of that. If I do this, I have to have this, okay? And it's really, really hard to break out of that mentality, especially when you're starting, because when you're trying to even form an image in your mind, all you keep seeing is people using this particular thing. So that's hard to do, is break out of that mentality. And then lastly, the other thing I would like to say is, if you're thinking of buying something and you know it's still going to be there, wait a month, couple months, and see if you can use something else in the meantime. Because I truly wish the amount of paper I have bought, printed, things like that, I never really had to buy more than one paper pack in my entire crafting career, because I have so much at home that I could already use. So when it comes to junk journals, I had more than enough supplies to begin making junk journals, and I will never even run out of the things I do have in my lifetime to make junk journals. And I particularly do like the challenge of trying to find something. I do like the challenge of using junk. So I wish I hadn't bought so much of a lot of things, quite frankly. Even when it comes to junk, you know, like index cards and things like that. I didn't need to consume so much in reality, because the amount of time I actually have to craft, I'll never use it in my lifetime. So those are all things to consider, especially if you're just starting out. And this is more just something to help you. If you're creative and you like a challenge of trying to make something beautiful with junk, but you get intimidated because of all the crafters out there, especially the ones, you know, that have sponsors and endless supplies of money to buy whatever they want. It can be intimidating, just because you put the pressure on yourself to feel like you need that in order to create something that you want to create. So don't let that happen, is my advice. Look around your house first, look in thrift stores first, look at Dollar Tree first, use your imagination first, and then use temperance, and just wait a month or two and then say, oh, okay, do I really need that? And chances are you might not need it at all. So that's my things I wish I hadn't bought, or wish I had bought something that's a better fit for me. And again, this is not about the products, quality, or anything like that. It's just that, like in the case of the envelope punch board, I was torn between those two things. But in the end, I wish I would have bought the other one instead. And then I just went with the traditional, or customary, I guess I would say. But I wish I would have bought the other one. So it's just things like that where I had a choice, and I wish I would have made a different choice. So okay, everyone, thanks so much for your time, and I hope you find this useful. I don't know what kind of graphic I'm going to put up for this, but think of something. Okay, you have a great week. I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you have a great New Year's Eve and a great New Year's Day. And I'll see you next time. Bye.